Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Monday. I believe it's August 26th, and we're getting so close. I think we have 38 days left until the Now Honors in the Power of Pink. I'm so excited. I am so excited. And like I said, we want to feature women and men that are supporting us, got our backs, that are speakers, that, the women that we're honoring and the women from the Power of Pink. That's what it's all about for us. And today, Sherry Jones is here. She is, a very cool lady with a very green thumb. And I mean that for plants, decor, and wealth building. Hey, Sherry, what's happening?
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
How are you? How are you?
I
My
am.
my 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 Siri decided it wanted to kick in for some reason. I have no
It,
idea.
it happens. It happens. Sometimes you say Sherry and they think it's Siri.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just wrong.
yeah,
It needs to do better. But how are you? How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much. Would you prefer I just get out of the frame so you can just enjoy the
Yes,
chair? Would
please.
that be okay?
Yeah, the plant, the chair, the whole nine. I mean, you even got the green cup going on. Just brag about it. Why don't you? No wonder you're a wealth expert. What
Um,
else would you be?
I mean, obviously, it's the only thing. Yeah, well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It's been a week of celebrations. Our book just launched last week on the 20th, and
Okay,
that book is the Ripple of Impact. I'm sorry, I just of
okay.
course lost the name of the book. And we're already number one in 4 different countries, so international
Wow.
bestseller here. It's so good.
So what
Um,
is the ripple of impact? What does that mean?
So it's actually it's an anthology, and so I wrote it along with several other authors, and we
Hmm.
all talk about how there's an impact to everything that we do. There's a ripple of
Okay.
impact, and so it's 26 stories of women who have done amazing things to change their lives, the lives of others, and it talks about how we just have to make one drop, and the impact is so much bigger. And
Mm.
so it's an awesome book. I taught in my chapter. I talked about my father. I lost my father to suicide when I was very young,
Ooh.
and when I was 7, and then my mom also when I was 27. And so my
Oh,
chapter is talking about the sounds that I remember from my parents and how they've gone on to impact me. Now I'm 52, right, and I still
oh, she's a
remember.
baby.
I Hi,
I'll
baby.
be 61 in a couple of months. You're a baby.
You are wow. You look
Yeah,
amazing.
I'll be 61 in November.
Okay,
Let's
you
not talk about it. Keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted.
So yeah, so my chapter was really just my conversation with my dad, and just it was the opportunity for me to close a chapter in my life so that I can move on for the next 52 years and not necessarily carry that trauma on my back. So I'm excited to be a part of that project, and obviously, some other people like it too, if they're buying it.
Apparently. I
Okay,
mean, multiple country number ones. I'm jealous. I wasn't invited, but I will definitely go get the book.
please do. That'd be good. Please do.
I will definitely go get the book. Now I got to ask you, because both of my parents have since passed, but I was an adult when they passed. But
Mhm,
right now today, I feel closer to them now,
mhm.
than I did when they were here because, they say your parents get smarter as you get older.
They
And
do.
the things they were trying to teach me back in the day, I didn't have to. I know. I didn't have time for that. If I get that attitude, my dad, he was, don't make me come over there. But now I'm in situations, I'm in environments, I'm hosting shows or I'm standing on stages, and it's like I can hear them, you
Mhm.
know, don't embarrass me, stand up straight. Look that man in the eye,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
that man in the eye, what are you doing?
Mhm,
And it's amazing to me the things that I thought I wasn't listening to
mhm.
that I'm hearing, even, cooking recipes. If I'm
Yeah.
standing in the kitchen, I can hear my mother, "Don't overmix that. This is how this goes, blah, 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 blah." Do you feel the same? Do you hear them? Do you say, "Okay, I'm relating, I'm touching, I hear them."
Yeah, probably not as much so as you, right? I
Right.
didn't have the time between my father passing and the time my mom passed. It was 20 years, but it was very tumultuous. There was a lot of
Mhm.
trauma in that, and so I'm working to unhear some of the things that I heard from my
Ah.
mom, right? And so that's something that I work with in therapy, because my mom didn't know how to be a mom. My mom was came from a very dysfunctional situation with her mom. And so
Mm,
for me, I tried to unhear the things that I remember my mom saying. I will never be anything. I was going to end up kind of like my dad, in dying by suicide. And so a lot of the things that I heard, my
mhm.
motivation is to make those things not become true. Right. And so for so many years, I rose the ranks in corporate America. I did great. I won awards. I spoke everywhere, but no one really knew the trauma that I came from. And so for
Right.
me, my goal is to shed that. Like, I will always heal from it, but to be able to look back and say some things happened and they were less than great. And I don't want to keep replaying that in my head, because that told me that I would never be anything. They told me I would never be worth anything. And I changed that. I'm quite the opposite. And so still motivated by their words, but probably in just a little way, different way.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you because my dad was one of those guys that, he taught by negativity.
Hmm.
And now I'm finding the positive message within what he was trying to say,
Absolutely.
because he didn't know how to relate. My parents were sharecroppers when they
Okay.
were children. They adopted me at an older age.
Hmm.
And and they never planned on really having kids, and one day they decided to adopt me.
Hmm.
And so his answer was, "You ain't nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing, ain't never been nothing, blah, blah, blah." And he would just keep going.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm going out on a massive stage or I'm doing a big business deal, the first thing I think of is what would my dad say? What would he do? And then I do the opposite because it's like, yeah, 'cause I figured out later on it was just fear for him. He
Yeah.
was afraid to live, being a sharecropper and then move in Mississippi and
Oh,
then
wow.
moving to Chicago.
Mhm.
It's like he was scared. He was
Yeah.
absolutely scared. What do
Mhm.
you say to someone right now that maybe is in that situation? What advice would you give a young man or a young woman who maybe they're going through it right now? They just got into their adulthood. Maybe they're 30 and they just had their first children. And
Yeah.
they're going, "Well, now what do I do?"
Yeah.
What you tell 'em?
Well, one of the curriculums that I created is called Creating Mental Wealth. I have a TV show that's called that as well. And the concept is super simple. I don't know, Tigo, if you remember, we used to write checks. Remember, like checkbooks?
Oh, checks. Yeah. Mhm.
Remember, and we would, like, when we got deposited something, we would have to write in, okay, I got
In
paid
the ledger.
$200. And
Yep.
then whatever you had to pay, you had to subtract that from that and go, okay, I got to pay this light bill, then that's going to have to come down. And so it's literally using that same concept, but talking about our mental health. Because
Mm,
what we don't realize is so much good happens to us every day, but we're just distracted and we're busy and we're focused and we're doing other things. But this makes us stop and go, you know what? First of all, I woke up today, so I'm going to say I feel like $1,000,000. That
there
goes on
you
my
go.
top line. I
There
woke
you
up.
go.
People didn't. My family is healthy. That's a deposit. There are, I feel good. That's a deposit. Now, will I get in my car and drive and somebody's going to cut me off? Absolutely, because that's just how we
Mhm.
drive here in Dallas. But I can choose in
That's
that moment.
America. That's not Dallas.
I'm just saying,
That's America.
just in case there is a place where traffic is just wonderful. I just want you to know that it's not Dallas. Um, but I have the opportunity in that moment to see that as a mental wealth withdrawal, where I'm going to let it take away from my bonus, my money, or I'm going
Mhm.
to add to it, and I'm going to go, you know what? Thank goodness I didn't hit them, they didn't hit me. I'm safe. They're safe. I'm going to call that a win. And so that's what I want people to understand, is that we have our own power to become mentally wealthy. It doesn't matter if you have $1,000,000 in your bank account or a negative in your bank account. From a mental wealth perspective, you own the ability to say, when I call my best friend Sabrina, and she's going to make me laugh, guaranteed,
Mhm.
no matter
Mhm.
what I'm going through. And so I know how to have her listed as a mental wealth deposit. I can run out to her if I need that. And so, or sometimes it's music. Sometimes I just want to dance around my living room. And it could be because I just got some really bad news. But I want people to understand that we have the opportunity to be mentally wealthy. It's what I teach people when I get on stages in front of thousands of people, or sometimes just one on one, a client that has me as their trusted advisor that needs to call me and go, I feel like today is all withdrawals. It's tough. And I can give them tools and remind them of things that will bring them mental wealth deposits. And
Right.
it's very important, especially with children, because so many children now are dying by suicide. And
Hmm.
our curriculum is to hopefully be able to give them another opportunity to communicate before they decide to hurt themselves.
How do they get started? Somebody is sitting at home, and I have to say, I have been on E many days in my life,
Mhm.
and wondering what the heck am I doing here anyway? How do you get started making that first deposit? Now, I know back in the day with a checkbook, I know I went into the bank, I
Yes.
sat down with somebody named Mary Sue or Bob, and I had to give my ID, and they gave me temporary checks. And then
Hmm.
a little bit later, the big ones came. And I
Yes.
was one of those people that was guilty of not using the ledger. I can't be out of money. I still got checks left. Yeah, when the checks started bouncing, I was like, yeah, okay, I can't do that. So I had to start writing it down.
Yes.
How do they get started just opening their mental wealth account?
So typically, what I have them very cool assessment that we created, and so it's so funny because people are like, "I know I'm mentally wealthy, I get it," and so we go through this exercise, and they actually come out with numbers, actual numbers that they came up with, and then I give them goals and like really easy steps to change
Hmm.
that if it's negative or if it's overtly positive, because knowing that life isn't going to always be great, right? And so if you
Right.
are having a season where things are wonderful and you're overflowing from your mental wealth account, what do you do with that? Why have you been given more than enough? And then their next step may be, now we need to go make this an interest building activity. How do you go and share this with someone else who very well may not be willing to, may their cup may not overflow it at that moment.
Right.
And so it's all about documentation. And so that initial assessment just shows them the power of their own mind, utilization of things like linguistic programming to just go, I am wealthy. Like I am. Absolutely. It has nothing to do with what's in my bank account. But when you have that energy and when you have that perspective, people are like, why are you in such a good mood? Like, I know what's going on. And you're like, well, I was able to actually balance my mental wealth account today. And even though it was negative when I woke up, I made sure that I had added some deposits before I even left out to be a part of the world, which will bring withdrawals for me very quickly. So yeah, that's my thing. That assessment really helps people understand how to keep their mental wealth balanced.
I'm living in Nevada. I'm from Chicago, but I'm living in Nevada. Been here for 30 years. And when COVID hit, and now the schools and everything shut down,
Mhm.
our suicide rate went through the roof. And I went, what is this? What's happening? And then somebody said, well, a lot of them are home with their predator. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yes.
whoa. So for people that of all ages, not just teenagers, but of all ages who feel like it's just too late for them, they've had so much sadness, so much pain,
Hmm.
so much darkness that they can't see the light,
Yeah.
and they're watching this going, I know that she's not talking to me because it's too late for me. What message would you give them?
I will say that it's never too late. The trauma that I experienced as a young child, I carried around with me forever. But I did finally leave, and it was very difficult. I would be lying to you if I told you that it was a breeze. But I will tell
Right.
you that in that time, I learned how to be a survivor. And it's not easy. It's not something that I will wish for anyone. But I will tell you that when I left, and I can't speak for everyone, but I can tell you that when I left my abuser, and in my case, my abuser was my mom, but I had to do things that were uncomfortable. I slept outside for nights. I hid, I ran away. Police
Hmm.
would find me and they would take me back because I was so young. But I was very adamant about my safety. And so being able to self advocate, being comfortable saying, whatever you need to do, but I can't go back there. And thank God there are so many more resources available now than were
Hmm.
available when I was young, right? There are shelters where women can go and take their children if necessary. I support quite a few of those areas here in Dallas to make sure that they have clothing and sheets and towels and things like that. And so definitely get some help, and know that the system now will keep you a lot safer than it could when I was young. When the whole goal was to take me back to where my abuser was,
Right.
people are now so much more aware of what's happening, and they understand they want people to be safe. So definitely get away. and be able to self-advocate.
So how young, how old is your program targeted? Do they have to be in their 20s to get started, or is 40 too old? What's the best target range?
I don't have one, which I love so much. There isn't one.
Okay.
As long as we are breathing, that's kind of one of the requirements. You need to be. Yep, got it. All right, can you fog this mirror? And honestly, it doesn't really matter if you are at any age, even if you are young and 9 or 10, and you just want your parents to understand the stressors that are in your life, because we can't, as parents and grandparents, we are like, you should be fine. Your life isn't anything like mine was. You should be happy, and that's not how it works, right? And so,
Hmm.
I think that anybody at any age, when you're ready to become mentally wealthy, you don't have to, it doesn't fit into a certain age range. We can, as long as we're breathing, as long as we have an opportunity for another day, then we have an opportunity to be mentally wealthy. And I love showing everyone how to do that. The funny thing is that my curriculum for my 5 and 7-year-olds is also the same curriculum for CE level executives, right? Because their attention
Right.
span is very much the same. They're
Right.
like, tell me quickly, tell me, and then I don't want anything to do with you.
I want to thank you, not just for being here, but I want to thank you for doing this program, because I think it's amazing and it's absolutely needed and necessity. So I want to thank you because, like I said, I'm closer to my parents now than when they were here, because I can hear the positive now, and I
Mhm.
couldn't hear it back then.
Yeah,
One of the things you mentioned earlier is standing on stages.
yeah.
So I hear you have a speaker summit coming up next year. When
I
is it? What
do.
is it? Where is it?
I'm so excited. It's called the Creating Mental Wealth Summit, and it is going to be here in Dallas, Texas, actually. And we have speakers coming from literally all around the world to talk about their perspective of what creating mental wealth looks like. So for me, I can talk about it because I created it and I love teaching people. But then we have everyone from someone who has served in the United States Navy for decades to talk about creating mental wealth when it comes to leadership. And then we've got a woman that's coming to talk about creating mental wealth when it comes to the gut and brain connection. And got someone that's going to, I don't want to give away all my good secrets, but we've got someone that's going to come and talk about movement. And so the audience will have the opportunity to move and feel mentally wealthy because of movement. And so
Wow.
I'm super excited. We do have a TV show also called the Creating Mental Wealth Show that you can find on YouTube. And very soon
Nice.
you'll be able to find it on everywhere. And so
Nice.
we'll be able to film that while we're at our summit next year as well. So I'm super excited. Stay tuned. We'll have all the information in about a week or so. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I want to know all about it. And when you get it, let me know. We'll add it to the description so people can reach out to you and all that good stuff. And, if it can fit in my schedule, I would love to be there. If you need me to speak
Please.
or MC or just hang out in the hallway,
I
hand out
do
the
need an
coffee.
MC. I do
Yeah,
need an MC.
I
So that
got
would be
you.
fabulous.
Put a line through it. I'm done, done. I'll be there. I think what you're doing is amazing. And if I had someone like you in my life when I was a kid, I'd probably be, 100 more miles down the road, if not 1,000 more miles down the
Everything
road.
happens when it's
So,
supposed to. Everything happens
yeah,
when it's supposed to.
everything happens for a reason when it's supposed to. Tell everybody how to get your book.
Well, you can go to Amazon, and on Amazon you can purchase the book. It's called the Impact, the Ripple of Impact, and you'll notice that the author says Kathy Dirksen because it is an anthology. But please do purchase the book. All proceeds from the book go to a nonprofit that's called How Women Lead, and so this
Nice.
gives other women the opportunity to do things like be a part of anthologies, write books, get their stories out there. So please do go purchase the book. And find me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to work with you or your organization or your school to teach you how to become mentally wealthy as well.
And they just look you up under your name, Sherry James.
Yes, it's easier if you put PMP after it because there's a lot of Sherry James, as it turns out, but only one that's got PMP afterwards. So definitely look me up on any of the social media platforms and LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to support and serve however I can.
Okay, so I want to thank you for hanging out. If I'm coming to Dallas, I'm assuming your summit is going to be in Dallas.
It
So
is.
if I'm coming to Dallas, then we have to talk about the green thumb thing because you're showing out right now. And I love that chair. I might have to go to your favorite store. We won't
Yes.
mention it now, but I might have to go there and ship one to me because that chair is just everything.
Thank
And
you.
you're amazing.
Thank
Thanks for
you so
coming
much.
on and supporting the 100-day challenge for the Power of Pink and the Now Honors. Thank you for just doing everything that you're doing. That is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate you.
Uh,
Thank you.
all right, everybody, you know what to do. If you did not write it down, if you cannot remember Sherry James. Then go to TigoDirect.com later on today. Alan will have her on there. Just type in Sherry, type in Dallas. She's coming up. Send her a private message and say, hey, how do I get your book? How do I get in your program? Or how do I come to your summit? Tell them that you heard about her on the 100-day challenge. We're trying to make sure that everybody stays connected. It costs you nothing. It costs her nothing. It's just that bridge to keep us all together in this crazy world of ours. I want to thank you so much for watching this episode. I know I loved it. I hope you did too. And as always, I'm Tigo. I'll talk to you next time.